believe that within every moment of every day lies the potential to change the world. And by the good we do today, we can positively impact our futures. It's a single idea that holds everything together. Make today matter. Every day we nurture and build people through the knowledge we share and the things we have discovered. That's why knowledge matters. Through unique insights and by seeing the world differently, we write our own story of excellence. This is why opinions matter. Every day we strive together to be Africa's leading research-intensive university, recognized internationally for our quality, relevance, and impact. This is why research matters. We learn, grow, and inspire because our standard is built on a strong foundation. This is why excellence matters. Our different backgrounds, experiences, culture, and history culminate in a unique strength that shapes our potential. That's why diversity matters. We never stop questioning, pushing, discovering, yearning in our pursuit of knowledge. This is why learning matters. We produce socially impactful research to find solutions to the world's most pressing issues. This is why sustainability matters. We inspire, we enable, we engage. Together we transform knowledge into positive impact for the future. This is why impact matters. The University of Pretoria. This is how we make today matter.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our AGM. Welcome also to those of you who are joining us by live stream. We're very pleased, of course, to be at the University of Pretoria and in these magnificent facilities at the Future Africa campus. And I'd like to invite Professor Themba Mozia to say a little bit to you about the university and welcome you. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. I hope you managed to catch some sleep after a very long day yesterday. I hope you're well rested. I know some of you may still be jet-lagged, especially those from different time zones. And by the time you pick up, you'll be leaving again. But I'm sure that's what we do in this business. And now, as we drill deeper into research highlights, we'll be sharing some insights today. We'll be sharing good practice and possible speed bumps as we navigate this vast terrain from the uneven playing fields where we come from in different countries. We come from different higher education systems, different funding regimes for research and innovation, different expertise and skill sets, and numerous other national priorities that impact on the research agenda we have. The value of our interactions today will draw from the research highlights from members of this collaborative partnership, from participants who are still making their minds when to join the partnership. And I know that we also are very rigorous in our membership acceptances. And we'll pause and reflect on the immense value that we derive from the geographical and cultural diversity across the 6 continents represented in this conference. And it is indeed also some measure of privilege for us to be connected by technology for those that on YouTube and all other forms of connectivity. We're truly thankful that we are able to do that. And as I very briefly reflect on the highlights of the University of Pretoria research, and just to say we are guided by the African proverb, and I must say it's probably, this proverb is probably in other cultures as well, but I don't want to speak about them because I'm more familiar with the African one. It could be applicable everywhere. And it's very popular in Africa that if you want to go fast, go alone, if you want to go far, go together. So that is one of those, proverbs that inspire us as the University of Pretoria through these collaborations that we have. We have a bit over 200 international collaborations at the University of Pretoria. And we hardly sign any memorandum of understanding or agreements if there are no concrete joint activities that we'll be doing. We are quite discerning as our partners when we collaborate that, and we believe in mutual benefit. We believe in equality. We spoke a lot about inequality yesterday in these collaborations, because indeed we come from different orientations, different playing fields. There's bound to be inequality because of the nature of things. One of the highlights for us is that we are ranked in the top 1% in 14 subject areas in the recent Essential Science Indicators. And through these collaborative networks, in 2024 citations, we have, together with our partners, of course, 13 citations per paper. So it's quite one of the highlights. There are many, but in the interest of time, we are careful not to, to say too much, because as partners, we already know a bit about ourselves, which is why we're in this partnership. And this is the testimony of our power to collaborate in research and the impact that we should be making and that we are making as a team. And the University of Pretoria is quite open. We have the highest number of postgraduate students in the country, and the highest number of NRF-rated researchers in South Africa at just a bit over 73%. And this is one of the highlights as well, probably also because of the size of the institution. We're a pretty large, contact university. And we tried the best that we can to collaborate within the country, and in the continent, and of course globally. So our footprint is spread all over the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to share something that stood out to me as I was reflecting on these highlights and connecting it to the presentation that we had from Ernest yesterday and the NRF and several others that we had from the panelists here. And these insights are drawn from the 2023 African Transformation Index that was commissioned by the African Center of Economic Transformation, which we are part of as the University of Pretoria, especially our economics department, which is ranked pretty highly in the world. And one of the insights is that, if you look at, and I'm talking about Africa now, and I know we have a partnership that struggles across the continents. And we have been through COVID, all of us. And the war in Ukraine and Russia, has posed very direct challenges that impact on research and in funding. The progress on the SDGs and regional public goods, health, safety, security, are being eroded somewhat, from where they were, it's declining. And we have structural, lack of financing and a liquidity crisis in many countries in the continent. A high debt burden, we feel it very, very much here in this country. And all of these large macroeconomic factors affect what you do with your research funding. We saw the chart that Ernest showed yesterday where we are as a continent and the case that he was making. So this dampens the highlights because in this country we're about 5, maybe 6 if you stretch it, research-intensive universities that actually produce quality research out of the 26 universities that we have. And clearly, it's not only economics, but it's also a whole host of factors. And climate change, these are some of the global challenges that we are facing, and we see some of the catastrophes that happen in the continent, in other continents as well. We had Sandra, we also saw what happened in Brazil, and other parts of the world happens from time to time. And these, are turning, a number of big factors like food insecurity, and we do quite a bit of work on that. Franz spoke about it anyway, into an existential crisis. However, we continue to pride ourselves with the natural resources that we have in the continent. We are a young continent, and we try the best that we can with our regional integrations. But the elephant in the room, as far as I see it, is that in order for you to develop, in order for you to make an impact in research, you need peace and security for your researchers, for your ordinary people, and we don't have much of that in many parts of our continent. And these take resources from things that really matter, like producing knowledge that will make a huge difference in people's lives. And this is unevenly distributed across, we look at South Africa now. We used to be, we no longer, high tech, Morocco is top now, followed by Tunisia. We are just in the middle. So, although, of course, it's quite difficult economically, we are still, among the top 3 or 4 countries in the continent that make a difference. However, that's not enough. So in terms of our own realities, we have too many competing priorities that impact on research. And these highlights, you will find at UCT, you will find here, you'll find at Stellenbosch, you'll find at the University of Johannesburg, you'll find in KwaZulu-Natal, and then at VETS as well, of course. But then from there you have to look very hard to find them, And if we work in a partnership and with all of these competing priorities, the investment in research suffers a lot, and in certain of the countries it's almost non-existent. Now, building these networks and partnerships for research, is never too late. We continue to be hopeful. We are resilient, and we reach out, as you know, from a worldwide university network and other partnerships, so that we can be able to make some of these impact elements that our societies need for research. And one of the greatest benefits of these events, is that we're given an opportunity now to network, and we have agreed to have both WN and ARUA just to join forces with the kind of work that we do. And we also have informal networkings, and we can't underestimate the value of informal networks, because that's where most of the collaborations happens, where the ideas emerge, and the connections and friendships, lasting friendships, really. And that really matters. Dr. Adesina is the president of the African Development Bank Group. He speaks of the baobab tree. I'm sure some of you knows we have this tree here in this country. I don't know which country has it again, probably Brazil, because we share so much of the fauna and flora with Brazil. But it's a very big tree. It's like, the stem is like, huge, And he uses that metaphor that, in the African Development Bank, he used it because you cannot wrap your hands around a tree. You have to join hands, all of you, and actually to be able to enclose the tree. So that metaphor is what we use as partners, that if we join hands across this big tree, which is very hard to move, we would be able to make some inroads. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly proud to be part of this partnership. We are looking forward to more highlights as an institution, but also as a continent and also as a partner in WN, so that we can be able to continue to confront these global challenges that we're talking about in this conference. Despite all the complexities that we have, let us continue to do this for our children, really, and continue to set the example that we are setting as institutions of higher learning. It's hard, and we have different challenges from different countries. We had a round table last night. We have many issues, Other administrations are looking for this, so everyone of the authorities want to have a piece of the universities, whether it's control or regulation, and that impacts on the work that we do. We have our regional associations trying the best, but again, it boils down to resources, as I say. If we have some of these challenges, we are not able to. And those countries that we see at the top of the chart there, Europe, United States, and others, Asia, and so forth, this has started a while back, but it also depends on how you manage your resources to make the impact, which is a big problem. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to more highlights through the day. And thank you, Peter, and thanks, colleagues.
Thank you, Temba.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our next presentation is from Trakan Prapaswanga, who will be discussing a 2022 RDF project that she's led on towards net zero and sustainable cities with resource optimization, a circular economy, and research networks. Dr. Prapaswanga is an associate professor and director of the international PhD program in Environmental and Water Resources Engineering in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Mahidol University. She received her bachelor's and master's degrees from Chulalongkorn University in Thailand and her PhD in Environmental Engineering from Aalborg University in Denmark. This was followed by a postdoc at the Danish Center for Environmental Assessment in Aalborg University, and she's been on the faculty at Mahidol University since 2012. Her research is in the areas of life cycle assessment in waste, food, energy and transport sectors, as well as net zero emissions, the circular economy and sustainable cities. Please, thank you. Sound?
Honors to be presenting. Yes. So it's my honors to present to you today. So these projects called like NCS cities is have like it's the aim to assess the current status and also like future plan of net zero and sustainable cities, as well as to analyze the technologies and policy on resource optimization and circular economy to see how it works in cities and from the plans. And of course, in order to make this research to be sustainable, we need to develop research proposals and also apply to national, international funding agencies and establish research networks on net zero and sustainable cities. So in this NCS cities project, we have two main parts. The first part is research part. The second part is about network part. So you first see about the main first part on the research part. So this slide present about the national pledge of the country of the partner university that have been pledged for net zero emissions, like Australia, Canada, Ireland, Netherlands, New Zealand, and United Kingdom have pledged for net zero greenhouse gas emissions in 2050 in law. But in some other countries like China and Thailand, we have pledged as well, but in policy document, not in the regulation yet. In China, it has pledged in 2060s, and in Thailand, it's 2065. For Uganda, it has been proposed, but again, informally in 2050. So you can see that at national level, they have pledged to be net zeros. But in this project, we try to look into the city levels. So we have select 6 cities in the participating countries, like in the partner university. So we have like Dublin from Ireland, Nakhon Pathom, Thailand, Kanchanaburi, Thailand, Limburg, the Netherlands, Shenzhen, China, and Kampala, Uganda, from the selected partners. So in these 6 cities, we found out that only Dublin or Ireland that have set carbon neutral target in 2050. The other cities have no pledge yet. They have some target, but it is far from being zeros or net zeros in the futures. And more surprisingly, most of these targets have been presented in report. There is no like monitoring or the measurements or something that ensure that this city could really meet the target at the end of their expected year. So it is still questionable that how can country can reach their net zero target, because at city levels, the path is still quite blurred. So this is the first part of the research. And then the second part is on about the sustainable cities and communities, or SDG elements. So these pictures demonstrate quite clear that it shows the trend that indicate whether a country is on track to achieve the SDG 11 by 2030. So if the one that's on track, you can see it in the green, then most of the country and then the country of the partner university that we are working together are in either like yellows or the orange, which show moderately improving or stagnating. So it means that we cannot really reach the target based on the national level. But if we look at city level, so this study have done systematic review of city sustainability assessment tools. So to see first that what tools have been used and applied to different cities. And we found out that there are many indicators that are not easy to integrate, and each city have used different tools in order to make the performance assessment of different cities. It will be very challenging. So this is also, and then also many of the cities have only mentioned about the sustainability assessment qualitatively. So there is no quantitative target or there are no real measurements or the action plan is very like light or not measurable. Again, most cities have the report and then the assessment at one stage in time in a specific year, but there is no monitoring system to ensure that this target, this policy are really meet or like implemented. So based on the study, we found out that there are many ways to go toward the sustainable and net zero city around the world. So we have provide some recommendation that what could be the recommendation for net zero and sustainable cities, which focus on like by regulating like resource optimization and circular economy. So we have 6 main themes like renewables and energy efficiency, waters, wastewater, waste management, sustainable transportations, urban infrastructures, natural resource management, and sustainable food system. So for renewable and energy efficiency is that we need to prioritize decentralized renewables like solar energies and also like implement high efficiency technologies like heat pumps, LED for energy autonomy. Water, wastewater and waste management, we need to promote also like rainwater harvesting, water reuse, green infrastructures, waste to energy systems, and also like resource looping for sustainable waters and waste management. Then for sustainable transportation, we need to improve mass transit, introduce non-motorized strips, promote fuel efficiencies, as well as also like electric vehicles and smart traffic management. Then for sustainable food systems, so we need to embrace urban, peri-urban agricultures, agroecological practice, community composting, food waste reduction strategies for sustainable urban food systems, and natural resource management. So we need to transition into like circular biotic economies, encourage automation in place of mutual resource saving mode, and also like solar power adoption for sustainable resource management. And for urban infrastructure, we need to encourage cost-effective solutions, flexible land use, excess heat utilization, green space preservation, and material reuse in urban infrastructure projects. So these are the all parts in the research. But of course, in order to make this study more sustainable, we need to implement and have the continuous development. So we have also joined together that at the beginning of this project, we have 23 scholars and 5 young researchers from 12 universities. And then at the end of this project, we are able to increase the network. We have 30 scholars, 11 young researchers, and 1 industry involved in the project. So throughout 1 year, we have like 30 meetings. Like part is about the project itself and part is also about network and proposal developments. And we have also like 2 joint seminars, one on net zero emissions and one on sustainable cities. And we also have conduct one joint young researcher workshop. In this workshop, we have young researchers to pitch their own idea how to make city to reach their net zero and sustainable targets. So we have like 5 groups for students and then like researchers from different places around the world to help to pitch together. And of course, that along the project, you provide new lectures and have like journal publication. And part of this journal publication have been presented in 4 conference. Then throughout the year, we have at the end like 9 successful funding application for also like joint PhD students and also like for research mobility and continuous research project in these relevant subjects. And in this project, we are able to have 3 co-tutor dual or double PhD students as a part of the project, and also like 4 joint supervision among the scholars or professors in the partner university. In this joint supervision include 3 PhD or the co-tutor dual double PhD and 1 master student. And we also have 3 agreements. So one is the dual PhD agreements. Second one is also like the mutual of understanding, mutual of activities in order to carry out the like joint programs. And then another one is ongoing agreement that under the final revision also on the co-tutor PhDs between Mahidol University and Maastricht University. So you can see that this also like bring about the network that we can move forward in order to carry out this project together in different aspects. And of course, that in order to be able to do all this, it's not me to do the work alone. That I have different partners, like including like my colleague at Maidan Universities, and we have Macquarie Universities, Chinese University of Hong Kong, Maastricht University, University of Sheffield, University of Auckland, University of Alberta, University of York, University College Dublin, Macquarie University, Liverpool John Moore University, Chengdu University, Chiang Mai University, and also industrial partners, Pathanasari Engineering Limited Partnerships, and also like young researcher. And I must say that this type of collaboration will not be able under this worldwide university networks, that we are able to like find the network and then try to find a solution to support the cities. But along the way, we can accommodate the specialists of each partners. For example, at the end of this project, we have also like 12 teams that also we are working with cities, but also each researcher have their own expertise, so they can work with city under different themes, like on energies, on waste management, on like intellectuals, like from ITs or like from the economics as well. So I would like to also special thanks to my specific colleague who highlight here, like Dr. Emmanuel, Dr. Kelvin, Dr. Eldinas, Dr. David, Dr. Paulas, Dr. Nicholas, Dr. Vladimir, Dr. Chun, and also like the young researcher, architect Deja, that who helped to make this project come true. Yeah, so this is all for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Professor Spongza. Our next talk is from John Adams, who will describe the work undertaken on the project he has led, stemming from a 2022 RDF initiative on identifying a global public health research agenda for self-care in chronic disease. John is a distinguished professor of public health and deputy head of the School of Research in the School of Public Health at UTS. He's a Fulbright Senior Scholar and has led work commissioned by numerous health ministries and the WHO. He's held 3 consecutive NHMRC ARC fellowships, including an ARC Professorial Future Fellowship, and currently holds an appointment as Senior Fellow on the International Primary Care Research Leadership Programme at the University of Oxford. John's research spans a broad range of health topics, including self-care, primary care, chronic illness, healthy aging, women's health, healthy cities and urban design, indigenous health, and the health of priority and culturally and linguistically diverse populations. John, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And welcome everybody to the whole delegation, and good morning. So to start, I would like to, first of all, just give you a nice introduction to what we did with the WM funding. We're extremely pleased to have received this funding last year. As you can see on the screen here, we ran a global summit in self-care at Imperial College London in September, which was invited participants from all around the world. I'll explain who they are a little later when we look at outputs and also plans. But we had people not just from WN universities, but also other universities around the world. We also had the World Health Organization, and we also had many professional associations, including the Royal College of GPs. Also, the BMJ was represented, and a number of self-care associations and international lobby groups as well. Self-care, just very quickly, is defined by the World Health Organization as being the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and cope with illness and disability with or without the support of a health worker. This is a topic which is starting to gather a lot of momentum. There is a lot of interest, and as you can see, even from the World Health Organization, in terms of a topic that we should be thinking about on a global scene. What I'd like to now turn to is to think a little bit about why was it so timely for us to run this summit, and why were we so grateful to the WN network to actually provide us with the means to do so. I'm sure you're all aware that from COVID onwards, and we're still living with it now, self-care has become very much at the front of a lot of public health attention, not just washing hands, but obviously wearing masks, thinking both individually and in terms of community interventions and initiatives. The other thing that makes our summit very timely, though, I think, is that we are quite aware, and have been for some time, we're facing somewhat of a crisis in healthcare. Health systems themselves are under strain, and some of the factors that are feeding into that are obviously our aging populations. There's a boom in chronic illness, and of course there's a somewhat mental health crisis as well, which is partly already here and is going to cause future strain into the future. Now, when we couple that demand for health systems and health services with obviously the limited funding that we have available all in different jurisdictions to fund our healthcare sector, and also the strains on the workforce themselves, often burnt out, often themselves suffering from some of these other ills and mental health challenges as well. So something else I wanted to let you in on that we were extremely excited about with this summit was not just the output and the initiatives which we developed, which I'll come to very shortly, but also just to impart to you some of the processes that we followed. We followed the work of David Bohm, a famous physicist from the last century, and his work with Krishnamurti around thinking about how do you dialogue in a summit such as this, in a meeting, a gathering, in a way that people don't bring their preconceived ideas of expertise, but they have brave new ideas. They may feel vulnerable. You want to create a safe, respectful space for people really to explore, be creative, be imaginative, and ultimately, as well as productive, obviously have fun. The 2 days that we ran were extremely organic in their structure. We basically had housekeeping rules, and then for 2 days, the 17 delegates who came to London brainstormed and were given full opportunity to explore whatever facets of self-care or conceptual or substantive areas that they found interesting or thought would be productive to look at. So the production in terms of, I suppose, the conceptual developments that we managed to achieve over those 2 days at the summit, and they were really quite interconnected and very detailed, as you can see from this slide, but really to encapsulate it, the 17 of us came up with an all-of-life course approach. It became very evident to us probably halfway through the first day that to treat self-care as some self-contained slight issue that is within health and well-being just didn't seem to really cut it in terms of its magnitude, and also its significance and opportunity for probably addressing some of these problems and challenges that we're facing in formal healthcare. So we came to a conclusion that self-care really can be seen as a truly transdisciplinary topic. And when I have here written demanding background and foreground attention, what I'm really getting at is the idea that we need to have a strong research program of self-care, one where rather than treat self-care as one aspect of another topic, we should really bring it to the foreground as well and think of it, as you can see here, both in an individual, a local, a regional, national, right through the global perspective. And really the responsibilities and the activities that we need to harness and the initiatives that we need to put in place need to be at all those different levels. And also they need to interact with each other. Just to give a very clear example, self-care could be as simple as having a medication at home or having your home modified so you probably prevent falls, right through to the infrastructure and the global network of food production. These were all things that we contemplated at the summit. The other things quickly, just in the continuums there on the right of the slide, we really got stuck into thinking about all the different facets of self-care, thinking about how self-care reflected and was able to be got at, if you like, or advanced through lots of different perspectives, both disciplinary and practical. So we were interested in digital health and AI, but also not wanting to lose the human experience of healthcare in this self-care area. We also realize that self-care practices and activities, a whole range of them, they're not only about creating better physical health, not just mental health as well, but also in many regards spiritual health and a place for home and meaning and sense making. And of course, if we are thinking about self-care through the life course, then we're thinking about it not just to address health issues as they arise, but also in terms of a preventative approach. And this is something that, as you'll see in the next slide, a number of us have started to really think about in terms of real concrete projects that have come out of the summit. Just finally on this slide, I'd like to draw your attention to the idea. I know we're all very familiar with a wellness industry, which is highly commercial and is about often, unfortunately, not so much helping communities be more healthy, but could also be about selling expensive gym equipment and clothes and trainers. And this basically becomes a consumption exercise. But one of the things that self-care does in the foreground, if we think about it academically, it helps us to imagine all the different facets of power, agency, structure. So this becomes also a highly sociological and political piece of work as well. And one thing we were very keen to do is to imagine that self-care really helps coalesce around agency and empowerment for individuals, families, and communities, while also acknowledging at the same time that there are obviously inequities and there are also problems of access and capability to self-care amongst different people and their groups. The outputs and plans that we've put in place since that September summit are many, as you can see here, and we're very proud of things that we're already, many of us in this network are starting to put together. Capitan is an international measurement survey of basic self-care. We looked in the literature recently and found that no one has consistently defined or measured self-care using any overly used instrument. So we've developed one as a group, and that's rolling out to many countries around the world, including Australia, here through UTS. Also, here in Australia, we have an Allen study, which we've now set up and we're recruiting for. This is a stroke survivorship study of stroke survivors. And we're using this as well from the summit to, with everyone's collaboration and partnership, to look at what self-care might look like for people in community living post-stroke. We've also, as you can see on the right here, we've set up a self-care observatory. This is a portal where academics and anyone else also outside the academy can go and find literature and evidence base on lots of essential issues in self-care. We've also embarked on setting up an international academy for self-care research. We're aware there's a capacity building piece of work or stream of work that needs to be done from here. And that's also feeding into a research leadership program, an international self-care research leadership program that we're putting in place. Also, finally, we have a cohort study looking at aging and self-care, which is kicking off very soon later this year in Brazil with the help of everyone on the summit. And also we have negotiations going on at the moment and a proposal with Routledge to produce an edited self-care research book to outline this strong program that we've come up with at the summit. So finally, in terms of WN funding and the partners, I not only want to thank everybody, but I also just want to illustrate the power, I think, of this seed funding. This has come at a time where to run such a summit for 2 days, and particularly in the open, brave framework and the structure that we used, I think there are two things to mention. One is that to gather all those people in London and resource them to come for 2 days would have been beyond the means of any of us as individual academics, or even institutions for that matter, in terms of internal funding. But also the funding councils themselves, not just here in Australia, but worldwide. This is the type of summit that often falls through the net of funding. It's not a project as such, and it's often hard for councils and government funders to see any benefit in this, when I think really the benefits are quite plain. I want to thank all the WN collaborators, Alberta, Southampton, CUHK, Mahidol. Also, as you can see, there were other players involved too. And just to once again thank you all, and thank you for listening today. I realize that you're listening to many presentations, but hopefully that gave you a bit of a quick quick tour of what this project was all about. So thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Now it's time for a break. We have half an hour, so please, the refreshments will be outside. Please return to your seats 30 minutes from now. I say 30 minutes for those of you who are live streaming and don't know what time it is here. For those of you who are here, that's 10:50. Thank you.